projecting when you think you need it and hire that person now 6 months before, because that's the time.
Try to get someone who has that experience that you can learn from that'll help pull you forward.
Don't sleep on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has every data that you need.
You know, everyone's trying to rise together. You would rather that than people who are just status quo.
I'm going to drop 3 bombs. Mermaids are real, giants were real, and aliens are real.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Behind the Rise. We are doing a Q&A episode today in season 2. Let's get right into it. So what do we got today?
Cost is firing away.
All right, question number 1. What do you look for when starting a business?
Oh man.
Margins.
Yeah, margins I think is a big one, just because we're coming from the restaurant industry and it's notoriously known to have low margins, and it's just makes things a little more difficult. Once you hear about another people in another industry making like 50% margins, 40% margins, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I think Warren Buffett had that quote that was, what do you say? Was that a quote or was it just like something he said? So basically, you know, you want to be rowing in the right boat, right? Like he had a roommate in college, he said that was like way smarter than him. And basically now Warren Buffett's one of the richest people in the world. His roommate, nobody's heard of, right? And he basically said he picked an industry that didn't have the right margins, didn't have the right like growth potential. So, you know, to your point, margins are super important. But my answer would be margins number 1, number 2, scalability. It needs to be something that can be scaled, not something that's just, you know, stuck in your 4 walls or, you know, to a small market. So something that you can grow with, something that you can get high level, you know, partners or operators to run them with you. So, you know, that would be my answer.
Trying to think of anything else. Like
I think the barrier to entry is important. How high is your risk? How easy is it to get in? How much is it going to cost?
Right. Like what's the capital expenditure to get started?
Right. What's the lift? You know, even effort, you know, time wise, how long is it going to take?
Yeah, exactly.
And taking a peek into the industry and seeing if it's like recession proof or not.
Right. Longevity is a bit.
Yeah, the longevity of it. Like there's some industries that are going to be hot for like, let's say a year or two, or like you could see it's more of a short term type of industry. And there's some industries that are just tried and true over time.
Right.
Yeah. And then there's also, you got to love what you do, right? So you don't want to just pick something that you're not going to be passionate about. So I think if you can find something that's scalable, something that has good margins and that you're passionate about it or can become passionate about it, I mean, those would be
that definitely helps.
And had a low barrier to entry.
Would you look into quality of life building that business right now or no? Because there's some businesses that you can see that there's a little bit better quality of life than, like, again, a restaurant industry is notoriously known that you're a slave to the business.
Right. That's like a byproduct, though, of all the things that we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have great margins.
I think quality of life, like that whole like narrative right now is like imbalance is a bunch of bullshit.
It's going the other way.
Yeah, it is.
It's a bunch of bullshit. If you're in a business that you love, then it's part of your life. It's like it's ingrained in you. So you can create balance if you love what you're doing. Like it's part of you, you know?
But I think more of the balance people and quality of life is coming from employees than employers.
Yeah.
It's more employees looking for like, okay, if I'm going to give 40 hours somewhere, you know, where can I have the least amount of stress, make the best amount of money, and have the best quality of life?
I think it's both, dude. You see new young entrepreneurs too, like they're spending way too much time thinking about quality of life early on.
Yeah,
especially in the beginning, dude. Like, I didn't even know what my 30s looked like. I didn't go to one single thing. And I have zero regrets about that too. But young people don't understand that that's going to be the case.
Yeah, like even now, as we're interviewing people in our companies, like we're meeting like in your early 20s, and they're talking about quality of life. Where before that was never a thing. Normally, you start hearing that as people get into their late 30s, 40s, and 50s, like they want to spend time.
It used to be grind in your 20s and 30s. You start, you know, put your head up in your 40s and 50s. Now people are like, well, I just turned. I mean, I'm not going to say that person's name, but someone was like, this person I know is 23 years old. And is talking about like, oh, like I worked hard for 5 years and now I need some more quality.
That's exactly what I'm
it's
talking about.
Like, dude, you're 23. You've been working for 5 years.
Way harder than everyone thinks, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fact.
And the quality of life is just not going to be there.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't care what the business is. If you're starting from scratch with no money, there's going to be no quality of life for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, there needs to be that shift of understanding of reality. Like,
right.
You get like these fucking hippie Gen Zers, dude. I'm afraid with these Gen Zers, low key. They're
Dude.
fucking freaks.
Dude, you want to hear something crazy? I went to my kids' like open house the other day, like school open house, and we were sitting at their desks. And there was on the desk, like the kids left notes for their parents. And one of the things was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I saw at least 10 kids' desks. YouTubers.
Yep. I knew
First
that
of all,
was
what
coming.
is Gen Z? Like,
Well, this is
We're
like young. I'm
millennials.
talking about.
We're
Gen Z is
millennials.
the next
I'm
one?
talking about like
Yeah.
8-year-olds. Like my son's 8, right? Like
He's
so.
probably
I don't
in
know what
Gen Z.
Gen. No, dude, that's like Gen fucking W.
No, Gen Zs are like a 30-year gap.
No.
Yes, millennials like a 30-year gap.
I think they're Gen W.
Weird theory.
They're not. Gen Z is like
YouTubers
18.
are a huge deal.
Yeah. It is.
Huge deal to the young generation is getting their education from YouTube.
I know my son, like he knows shit. And I'm like, where'd you learn that? YouTube. Like we were talking earlier about he picked the PS5 over an Xbox, and he was like, actually,
the PS5 from my YouTube said that the displays are better than the Xbox. I'm like, dude, what?
yeah. So
You're
he learned
fucking
that.
4.
But the point is, though, is that young kids look up to the YouTubers, and that's what they're aspiring to be like. So long term, like my son's 8 now, so 10 years he'll be, so let's say like 12, 13 years from now, he's going to enter the workforce, right? So like that whole generation of kids, like, are they going to be any plumbers, any electricians, any tradesmen, any actual like physical like blue collar workers in that entire generation? I mean, they're looking up to kids. If you ever watch some of these YouTube videos that my kids watch, dude, it's,
Immigrants are going to take all those jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I guess so. But I mean, even them, man, if they're growing up here in America and they're watching,
Yeah.
It's different. Like the we have a lot of first generation immigrant people that work within our companies. They're extremely hard workers, but what their kids are they're trying to give a better life for their kids. They don't want
Right.
them to work hard as they did. So they're here trying to provide that type of life for their
But
kids.
trades make good money. Don't get it.
No,
twisted.
I think it's I mean, right now, dude, I was watching this thing the other day, like the average plumber and electrician's somewhere between $40 and $50 an hour, the average, right?
Yeah.
So that means that they're making at least $100,000 a year. And that's like, I don't know if that's entry level or what, but that's right now. So 12 years from now, what's that going to be like? Right? It's going to be like $150,000 a year, like starting. So, like you can make an excellent living. And if you have an entrepreneurial mindset and you think about scaling and operating the right way, I'm talking about who are those people going to hire? Who are you going to find to plumb your house and stuff like that? If kids at that age are looking up, I mean, I remember when people asked that question, I want to be a fireman, police officer, astronaut, fucking scientist, doctor. Everybody wrote YouTuber, dude. What is a YouTuber? Someone who just, dude, if you watch it, it's literally like kids like with their ninja kids, like they just play with like their toys and stuff. Like they're playing video games, like they're playing literally Fortnite full time, just like talking to another, like grown men playing. Like,
No, it's
Fortnite.
some freaky weird shit.
So like your kids looking at that, saying like that's what I
Kids
wanna
that we
be
would
like.
call, and when we were younger, like fucking nerds.
Oh, I know, but are you offended?
No,
I
I'm
mean,
just saying, like
I
these
think we hit a hot
fucking.
button topic here.
No,
I didn't mean to offend you, Tina. We're talking about
because
YouTube.
because now think about when we were younger. We looked up to the football players, to this, to that.
Yeah.
The
I know.
athletes, the jocks, and these guys are looking up to what we
Right, we would be the losers back then.
exactly.
Right now, we would be the geeks.
Exactly. That's my
Yeah.
point.
And you know what else the teacher said at that school? It was like a really eye-opening thing. She also said everyone in this class, right? She said is like super, super respectful, super, super like clean, organized, and like she said that she's never seen it like it's trending this way, but this particular class, and she said all of her classes in this age group right now, like when another kid like draws something good, the other kids will be like, "Oh, I really like the way you drew that. Good job." Like, dude,
Like
that
more
wasn't like
inclusive.
Supportive, inclusive.
yeah, like that's like I guess that's a positive, but like I don't know,
Yeah.
I'm worried about these kids in the real world as they get older, like as they
I know.
Start getting a little
like
more
no fight, like no pushback, like there's no pushback, like
Yeah.
everything is like, oh, how great
like,
are
oh,
you?
that art sucks.
Yeah, I mean at 8 years old you're not like going around, but I remember when I was 8
Yeah.
years old I was like literally like
That art.
slapping kids in the back of the head,
Yeah, I
like
was
throwing
like-
like spitballs around, like
I was like giving what was it when you licked your ear? You licked your
a
finger.
wet willy.
Yeah, I was like wet willing till my fingers were yellow.
I know you literally got quick note, Tino got suspended in like 3rd grade,
No, 2nd grade.
2nd grade. Who gets kicked out of school at 2nd grade?
I threw a rock at Jack Struble. Sorry, Jack.
Yeah, so that's what Tino was doing in 2nd grade. Now, not like saying like, "Oh, I love the way you drew that painting."
No, because I was getting bullied from you guys So I passed it
Here we
off to
go.
everyone else.
Here we
Pent
go.
up anger.
Here we go. Are you all
Anyway,
right,
next fucking question.
you want to dive deep into that, or you want to move on?
No, next question.
I mean, I have a follow-up question for that too. Though me and Tina were talking the other day. What do you think about the YouTubers that are starting businesses like Logan Paul, Prime?
Well,
to
Beast?
me, it's audience is there's no more commodity that's more important than an audience right now.
yeah,
People, if you have a personal brand, you can do anything.
yeah,
And these Logan Pauls, like you can say what you want about these guys, but they are proving that is to be real. They did guess how much revenue Prime did in their second year. Guess.
I have
Dude,
no idea. What
over
do you mean
100
by
million.
like
It's a drink. Their revenue in their
Prime
second
drink,
year.
okay.
Yeah. Guess.
over 100 million.
No. Well, yes, but guess an actual number.
500 million.
515 million in their second year of business.
Wow,
Are you fucking
disrupting the beverage space.
0 to 0
Yeah,
to 24 months?
right. Because they had the audience first. Normally it takes 20 years for a company to build that kind of brand
515.
equity.
They're worth $4 billion in 2 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Dude.
things happen.
I'll tell you,
fast.
my son came home the other day and he had a Prime drink, and he was like, "Dad, look what I've got," and he showed
I've
me
never
a
bought
Prime.
one, by the way.
They're good.
Neither have I, but the point
They're
is,
good.
he was like, "Oh my god!" He goes, "Look at what I got," but Mom said I can't drink it tonight because it's too late. I'm gonna drink it tomorrow.
Yeah, there has like some caffeine shit in them.
But yeah, I don't know. That's what he said. But anyway, that's the point
it
is
was an
that
energy
he
drink.
knows at that
Yeah, too.
age, he knows who that is. It was like a cool thing to have in school, and like so that goes to Tino's point, like your audience, right? If you look at who like the most powerful people are, or like the highest earning people are in the country, right? Like The Rock, Kim Kardashian, Selena
Beast.
Gomez,
The Rock swindled.
Mr. Beast. It's all because of their following. And
The-
Jake Paul.
The
Logan
Rock
Paul.
literally swung an election when he endorsed Biden at the very end.
Yeah, I think he did too.
So like there's like if you look at reach, again, reach is so fucking important. Reach and influence.
Yeah.
If you don't have reach or influence, well, you could be a billionaire, but if you don't have reach or influence, you can't change things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's much hard if you have your brand, like your personal brand first, like you said, you can literally start.
Actually, put it this way: if you had 1 billion views or $1 billion, what is more valuable?
$1 billion.
Yeah.
Is it? If you want to influence change, what's more valuable, the $1 billion or the billions?
Change?
If you want to make an impact in the world, $1 billion or 1 billion views?
I mean,
It depends.
it's
The money you could put to great use right away.
well, followers, it's like it keeps. If you had like 1 billion followers or $1 billion,
yeah,
like
long term, probably the following, like super long.
100%, because your feed, it's like it's it's the fuel to continue. It's like it's a churning butter,
Churning butter.
It's churning, like you're churning forward, like you're continuing to earn off of that following, not just like a one-time shot.
Right.
But the people with influence can actually make a change. Like if The Rock, Kim Kardashian, let's say Logan Paul, and 2 other people in the country got together, if those 4 people got together to make an actual impact in like the country, they could
Yeah,
make
you
a
could swing.
huge
Yeah.
change in a generation
Yeah,
just by their messaging, which
And
is crazy.
you're right about that. The Rock did swing the election,
Yeah, he did.
or
Low-key.
he helped a lot of people vote
Because
for
The
that.
Rock was such
guy.
he's never endorsed anyone, and he
Right.
was so independent, so like middle of the road. He was
Right.
never
Depends who you are.
confidential.
If you're a person with a great reputation and people trust.
I
Even
wonder
to-
what he thinks about that now.
Anytime he posts
I
something, if
wonder
you
if he
look at
regrets that now.
if you look at the comments, any of his new posts, you'll find me. You'll find me in there.
I unfollowed him.
I said you're
I
a
unfollowed him, I
you're a
muted
scumbag. Everyone thinks you're this, you're that. No, you're a scumbag.
Yeah.
Talk about your endorsement now, please. Anyway, next question.
Now that we got that out of the way, go ahead.
All right, question number 2. When is the time to hire and what do you look for?
All right. So when is a good time to hire? So like, your first hire, your second hire. I mean, it depends on like the margin of your company. It's as soon as you can, as soon as humanly possible, you want to hire.
as soon
And
as you
want
can
to,
afford it.
as soon as you can afford it, and even probably a little bit before you think you can afford it. Because the minute it depends on the industry, right? If you're an electrician or whatever, you need an apprentice to learn from. If you're in a trade, you need more people to, you got to look at each person that you have as a revenue producing asset, right? People that you hire are not liabilities, or assets, right? So they should help you produce more. Now, if you hire 4 people and your sales don't change, your sales don't go up, that's not good, right? The point is you hire people and you're able to produce more. You're able to get higher output. I have more to say on this, so if you want to cut me off, go ahead. Now's the time.
Yeah, I think that there's 2 definitions of like when you hire. There's like when you're startup mode, when's your first hire, I think the first hire is whenever you can afford it and you think that you being in that role is more detrimental to grow because you can't get your head out of the gutter to like push on the vision.
Yeah.
So you can afford it then. Second, which I learned from Lucho here, was to project like 6 months to a year ahead. And if you can afford it, even if it causes you profitability, do it now. So you're not playing from behind when that 6 months to a year comes.
Yeah.
And you're searching 2 months to get that right person. You're 6 months to a year ahead.
Yeah.
So it's almost like projecting when you think you need it and hire that person now 6 months before, because that's the time.
Yeah.
It's to hire it when you 6 months before you need it.
Right. And people don't always last either. So it might take 6 months to a year. You got to go through 3 people to find the right person.
Exactly.
Yeah. One tip that my mentor gave us was, hiring for experience of what you want to be like what type of company. Try to get somebody from a company that is that you want to model, right? So hiring for that experience. Don't always think that you can make that person what they should be, right? I'd try to get someone who has that experience that you can learn from that help pull you forward.
I did that the first time with Nutre, with the ambassador person.
Yeah,
that was the first time that I actually put that to action. Basically, we had a ambassador lead that we needed to hire, and I looked up to a certain amount of brands. I found those brands, looked at the people that worked at those brands, and poached a person on LinkedIn who had that experience that I wanted, and now she works with us. And that was the first time.
Yeah, we've done that at Nutre a couple times. Like our couple, recent really good hires have been exactly that. They worked at companies that had that we looked up to, that we want to be like, and we were lucky enough to recruit them and get them on our team. We sold them on the vision. They're integrated into our team now, and we're learning stuff from them every single day. Like you don't want to be the smartest person in the room all the time, right? You want to get people that are smarter than you that can help you bring you forward.
A key tip to that is don't sleep on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has every data that you need. If you're looking for someone who worked at a specific restaurant with specific experience, or if you look up to a brand that got exited that did exactly what you want to do, look for that company. Look at the jobs. Like if you go into LinkedIn, you look at like people who work at that company. Find exactly the title that you're looking for, whether it's an executive or whatever type of role. You'll see a whole list of people and shoot your shot. I fired, for a role that we're hiring for, I fired 50 DMs the other night when I couldn't sleep. And the guy who I really wanted to talk to, responded. And now we have a meeting with him. So it's like, that is a huge tip that's how we found two of our other people too.
Good tip.
Right.
Good tip. Okay, cool. Next question.
What is a common belief in business that you disagree with?
Shit.
The thing I mentioned earlier was, I don't know if it has to do with more business or if it's like self-development.
Business or self-development.
Yeah, it has to do with the whole 5 a.m. stuff. So like, I think that some people think, in order to be successful, you got to wake up at 5 a.m. and you got to, live this like early morning lifestyle. I do think it can help for some people depending on your personality, but I know a couple people who do really well that are not 5 a.m. people like Andy Frisella. I myself, I'm not saying I'm the most successful person. I'm not a great morning person myself, but that doesn't mean I can't be productive. And that doesn't mean I'm not as valuable as the next person. I do think that there's people who I don't think you wake up at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., but if there's someone like an Andy Frisella who openly talks about him being like an 8 a.m., 9 a.m. person, I don't think that makes you a less valuable asset in business than to someone who wakes up at 5 a.m.
For me, the whole 5 a.m. thing, like when people say they get up at 5, it's all about staying disciplined on a routine and doing something that's difficult, right?
Correct.
So it pushes you out of your comfort zone to be that discipline. You have like your morning routine on lockdown. So I guess if your morning routine starts at 9 or 8 or whatever, and you're staying disciplined on it, then I guess I would agree with that. I think that the reason that people say that, and the reason I disagree with you, I think I'm on the middle, like if I truly disagree or not, but I think the whole point is like you're getting all those things out of the way early. So by the time you're done, it's like 8 a.m. and you have like your whole day ahead of you to be productive on the other things. And you can be, I guess, done in your day a little bit earlier, to be able to spend time with like your kids or whatever the case may be at night, But it's like if you set it back earlier, you can get those things out of the way, but, and you're just super productive. But I think it's more about you're setting a disciplined time that you're doing every single day in a routine.
And doing something that's sustainable for you. Like I did try the 5 a.m. stuff, and just for me personally, it just wasn't a sustainable thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm in a sustainable routine the past, let's say 2 or 3 months that fits for me. It may not be as early as Luch or Ange, but it's been working for me.
That changes over time too. I was never a morning person either until I had kids. And now you're up at fucking 5 no matter what, you know?
Right.
And now I'm always up at 5. And I'm like, I have energy at 5. Like
I remember
if I tried that before kids, I'd be a fucking mess.
I remember before when you first started, you were like passed out in the car.
Yeah,
like
I literally got sick for the first like month when I had twins. Getting up that early every day, like not even kidding, after like 6 months went by, my body just completely shut down. You remember that?
Yeah.
I was sick for like 6 weeks straight, like aggressively sick.
Dude, sleep is a fucked up thing. If you don't get the right sleep, you're fucking.
It was bad.
I'm in bed right now.
Well, that's part of I guess that's part of the whole routine. Like you got to get this many hours of sleep. You got to get up at this. So it's all about having your time and your day regimented, right? So like if you're waking up at 5, you're not going to bed at midnight. You have to go to bed at like 10.
Right.
You know?
I'm literally, and I know you guys think I'm bullshit. I am in my bed at 9 to 9:15 every night, and I've never done that in my entire life.
Yeah.
And then
Including
you're on
when in high
TikTok
school.
till midnight, then fall asleep.
No, dude. Do you think Cecilia will let me do that?
Dude, there's nothing productive happening after 9 o'clock at night.
Nothing.
I shouldn't be the one to talk. I'm terrible at that right now. I'm lost that in my routine.
The other thing that I kind of go back and forth on, but I don't think it's as reliant as a lot of people talk about, and it's the network. How do you say it?
Your network is your net worth.
Your network is your net worth. I think that in some industries that is very, very like it makes sense. But to me, it's not every industry. I know plenty of people who are just grinders and have a great product and a great business mind that their network didn't affect their business. It affected their personal life. You know, they go out on the weekends, who they chill with, you know, they're at that bracket of money where they can go out with other people at that bracket of money. Fine. But I didn't see it truly affect their business stature.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it really depends your industry, but I just don't think it's as reliantly as important, almost like a foundation to a business than a lot of people say it is.
That's a heavy narrative now, but that's because of this whole coaching boom.
Exactly.
That's like one of their selling points. Like
get in the circle,
game, get in the people, get in the circle.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm on the fence if I agree or not. I think I disagree because I think that if, getting around people and being in those circles, you meet so many people that can help propel you forward. Now, you can probably get there without it, but it's a much harder path, much more difficult path than if you had people that you were surrounded with that can help pull you in the right direction.
For me, I think it's more about, it's like the law of exposure.
I was
it's
just
like
thinking the
other
same
people, you see what other people are doing, you compare it to what you're doing, you see what's possible.
Yeah.
It opens your mind to things that you would never think about.
It's also, I think that saying also goes in with like you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with or whatever, right? So that I think that kind of, if you hang out with all like bums that drink every night, drink on the weekends,
they drag you
have
down.
low ambition, then you will eventually like morph into that. But if your network is people who are high achievers, who are always striving for more, then you are going to naturally ride the tide. All
depends
tides
what you consider
rise.
your network.
I think it's
how close is your network?
Because my network
you hanging out
wasn't
with them
my
every day?
friends.
Right.
Like my valuable network was people that I knew that we respected, that we could do business together. We value each other's opinions, and we could like go back and forth on something that could maybe like achieve something.
Right.
But my friends at that time,
Right. So it's if your inner circle was your network.
yeah, my
that
close
might
5
make more
friends
sense.
at the when my network was at its peak was nightlife people.
Mm-hmm.
That they weren't like multi-millionaires or billionaires. They were just
Right, but you guys were all hustling and trying to.
no. We were hustlers.
You were trying to do better. I don't know, like healthy competition between you guys. Like, everyone's trying to rise together. You would rather that than people who are just status quo. You don't want to be like the only one pulling forward. Eventually, you're going to get pulled down. So I think that saying does have a lot of validity. It just depends on how you look. To your point, you don't need a massive network in order to
Right.
get
The industry
success.
matters too. Look at like Warren
Industry majorly matters.
Buffett. Warren Buffett probably hasn't talked to someone in like fucking 10 years. He's just like on his computer.
Yeah, he's
So
legit.
like
probably doesn't have
the
a computer,
industry
just on his
matters.
notepad. I mean, you
With a
can make
calculator.
trades behind a computer and like just learn that shit and like make a ton of money. But I guess your net worth technically it would be high if you're making a ton of money behind a computer. But I just think for the vast, vast majority of people, then you want to surround yourself with successful people or people who are trying to be on the same path as you?
I think I'm biased towards it because I had one of the biggest networks of anyone I even know. I had athletes, celebrities, rappers, millionaires, billionaires. And the only thing he ever got me was maybe a couple free concerts, maybe a couple free games, because I never wanted to be the one to like leech or be the person that's like almost taking advantage of the network. Like, oh, since we're friends, all of a sudden you're going to see me ask you about like business and we're going to start doing deals together because I was such a lower tier than those people at that time.
Yeah.
If I had that network now, we're more even traded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, dude, again, it depends on how you approach that relationship. If you approach it where you're treating it as a transactional relationship, then that's going to be the way it feels. But if you're
that's on a friendship. But my issue was I was trying to be too friendly and friends with them rather than a respected business person for transactions.
So you still need to handle your network correctly. You got to be intentional about it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to provide value to your network as well. Even
you were young at the time. If you started over and you knew everything you knew now, you would handle that network.
But dude, I was so intense. I provided so much value to these people. Dude, day in, day out, every day, morning, night. I remember. I was providing crazy value, but the value I was providing was not like business transactional.
Yeah, but listen, now later in life, there's people that you've introduced me to that you met at that time.
Yeah, first of all, I think it definitely has
to us.
provided a lot of shit.
Yeah, dude,
I just don't.
It's just all indirect. It's all indirect.
I think the ones that I valued the most are the ones I don't have anymore, because like I felt like it was weird. I felt like I had bigger bonds with those people. Then all of a sudden, as soon as I got out of that industry, it was like. And to me, I'm like, I thought we were fucking friends.
I mean, everyone's always on their own. Got their own agenda, you know.
Yeah, I think I was very like affected by that. I was like, dude, I thought we were friends. All of a sudden, you get traded or you leave, and I don't hear from you. I text you, don't respond. Like I thought we were fucking close. We used to get dinners. We used to lunch. You used to call me for things, and I used to go out of my way to do so much shit. Yeah. And now you move, and I think that's
you mature too. Like you're not like concerned about those things now, right? Like
I'm talking then when it happened. I was 25, 4, 6. I was younger.
Yeah. All right, next question.
I'm going to modify this question to make it a little bit easier. But if you could have dinner with any 3 people, and if you can't do 3, 1, 2, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I have my one, and it would be Dr. Donald Trump.
Really?
It would have to be. For me, it's Trump because he's done a lot of stuff in his life. I think his mindset is something that's under appreciated. Like if you read some of his books like Angelo has, and you really listen to him, like what he's accomplished through his mindset and like will and drive and vision is pretty impressive. Yeah, his dad gave him $1 million or something in the beginning, but that doesn't equate to a billionaire to his magnitude, to become a president of the United States, to be an effective president of the United States. And then now deal with all the stuff he's dealing with and still be level-headed in some way, at least as it looks on the outside. To me, that's extremely impressive. How he handles pressure. I would love if I could just sit down with him and just chat personal, business, kind of what he sees, what he doesn't see, where he sees the country going. I think that would be a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm trying to think. I didn't really hear much of you say because I've been thinking about what I'm going to say. Just be transparent.
I have a number 2.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I think Tom Brady, because he has dealt with he's one of the best athletes of the world ever.
Greatest leader of all time.
B, he's went through some shit that people forget. He had a kid or multiple kids with. Remember that girl when he was younger?
Mm-hmm.
He got like caught up.
Know exactly what he's going to say though.
I'm talking unscripted. If you could get a real dinner with someone who's like unfiltered, it would be like, I want to hear him about his triumph, Bill Belichick, Kraft, what he saw behind the scenes when Jimmy Garoppolo came in, what was happening in the locker room.
Just to like find out information, like curious information.
And like talk about his life, talk about why did him and Giselle divorce, like
that would be a fucking crazy dinner.
What kind of like personal advice would you have for someone who's younger? Like how did you go from a 7th round draft pick to the greatest of all time? Behind one of the greatest quarterbacks at the time was just Drew Bledsoe, coming in as a second stringer and becoming the best of all time and keeping his like I'm the best attitude throughout the whole time.
Yeah, that dude's fucking bulletproof.
Dude.
Bulletproof.
Everything he touches, he's a fucking. And
That's
he's
a couple good ones.
I'm
You're
thinking-
thinking dead
I'm-
people. That's why. You're like,
Yeah, I'm thinking like in the.
Who's-
Like,
yeah,
I watch a
he-
lot of like history stuff, so I'm thinking like back. Like I'm
I
trying
mean,
to,
Andy Frisella is like an automatic. He has to be one of the three.
No.
You wouldn't be?
No, wait. I was thinking about something.
Yeah.
What did you say?
No, so Andy Frisella has to be at least one of the three.
No,
because you
he's-
get three people.
He's
But
number
he's
one
a-
on my
but-
list. I think
but
he's
he's
what I wrote down.
so unfiltered as it is. That's the person you know exactly what he's gonna say because he
No,
says
dude.
everything he's gonna
That's
say
a good
already.
point. It's a good point.
Yeah, I guess so. But I
You,
met
we
him.
would get fucking down and dirty, like the
Yeah, because
nuances
he would
of
be.
shit.
Yeah, exactly. I want to hear nuances. Like
Right.
I met him in person at a dinner. I didn't get to sit with him and talk to him like deep. But I mean, he's my number one person I look up to. Like just the way he grew his business, the way he handles himself personally, the culture that he's built in his company. I think is literally second to none. I don't think there's a better culture in any company in the United States. Just his drive, like to have what he has and to continue to drive forward the way he does is just incredibly impressive. Like the way he grew, like just how they started. They have no investors. I mean, literally, like
He's everything that we want.
yeah, man. I mean, really,
everything and more.
like yeah, exactly. So I think there would be so much you would get out of that just having a one-on-one.
Right, just want him to, like to rub off on you. I mean, that's
Yeah,
like,
man, he's
how
so
does a
good.
guy like that operate? you know?
Exactly.
Anyway,
Yeah. So other historical figures, I'd like. I don't know. I got to think of another one.
Yeah,
Henry
alright.
Ford. Henry Ford would be a really good one.
That's a good one.
If you look at any like his, if you read about like business books in like the early 1900s, like Napoleon Hill, everyone mentions Henry Ford. He was a monster genius, like way ahead of his time, talking about culture, innovation, built a massive, massive company that still stands today
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
he
still
was a
booms. That's fucking crazy.
He was a savage.
And the Rockefellers, dude.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows what the hell they got going on?
Yeah.
They're supposedly behind all this shit. You know, they're the richest trillionaires and no one even knows they exist.
They're still around.
They
I was
do.
just gonna say.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
Dude,
They run, what's the bank? Like the people that we loan, the government loans from.
The Fed.
yeah.
Federal
The Federal
Reserve?
Reserve. They are the Federal Reserve.
No.
Yes.
No,
Fact
it's
check.
Ro-
Fact
Ro-
check.
I
Rothschild.
think I've heard that.
Russia.
there you go,
Okay.
Rothschild.
Separate.
If you
Well, I
look
mean, it's still rich as
look
fuck.
look at
Yeah,
look
same
at the
thing,
history
same
of
people.
that bank
Mm-hmm.
and you'll see how sketchy this shit is. They literally have to get loans or get money from those families.
Yeah, there's a book on it, like The Island or something.
It's fucking bononkerland.
All right, you want a curveball?
Yeah.
Michelangelo.
The painter?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've ever been to Sistine Chapels, dude?
Yeah, I did.
You ever
I took
look
a
up
picture.
when you walked in there?
Yeah, once
took a
you
picture when
see
you weren't
it, you're
supposed
like,
to.
what the hell was going on here?
Yeah.
I don't know anything
That's a
about his
good one.
personal life though.
Me neither. That's why I would love to just hear about it.
The Renaissance era, right? That's
I
when
think he
that
was
happened?
like fucking 16 when he painted that, wasn't
Right,
he?
like a
No?
super creative, like you talking about like an outside the box look at something, like what is going on in this guy's head?
I wish I knew more about like the Renaissance era. The Renaissance era was a fucked up, interesting era.
Dude, how about Thomas Jefferson in like the four founders
Oh,
of the
that would be
Franklin.
fucking
Dude.
awesome.
And who?
That
Ben
would
Franklin.
be badass.
Time
yeah,
out.
Ben
somebody
Franklin. Like, dude,
that.
you know how old Thomas Jefferson was? Let's get a fact check on this before we said
34.
100
30 something.
historically
He might have been in his
incorrect things.
20s.
Dude, I think he was 24 when he wrote
Yeah,
the
there
Independence.
was a few guys in their 20s.
Fact
that
check
it's like
it.
unbelievable.
Cost
I'm
the
gonna-
fact.
No,
I'll-
I did fact check it before, and he's I'm
What do you
pretty
mean
sure it's
before?
30s.
We
No,
just
'cause
talked about.
I had this question before.
But there's somebody else that's in their 20s.
because somebody
I
sent
know
out that
exactly.
video and like said they was like 23. And I
I'm
was
gonna
like, no
fuck
way.
up
Go ahead. Let's
everyone.
fact check.
I'm
No,
gonna
it
fuck
was
up
like-
everyone's day with my next fact, which is a fact.
Hold on. We need a fact check. We can't move on from this one. How old was Thomas Jefferson when he wrote
I think
33.
you, yeah, 33.
Ooh, I was close.
Some video like
That's
blew up
bullshit.
on social media.
Even
said he was,
still,
like 24.
33.
There's
you ever read
another.
that
There's
thing?
somebody else. It was like fucking George Washington. Was
You
like
guys
20.
want to hear fucked up? You guys know Edison?
Thomas at
Do you guys
Yeah.
want to know Thomas Edison?
light bulb.
Do you want to know a fact about Thomas Edison? They found like 20 or 30 bodies.
Yeah, I saw that.
In
Is
his,
that real?
Yes.
I mean, how?
No, that was Ben Franklin.
Are you sure it was
Yeah.
Thomas
That
Edison?
was Ben Franklin.
No, dude.
Ben Franklin.
What's the difference, dude?
Incorrect Facts podcast. We call this.
So what was he
All
doing with
opinion,
those
no
bodies?
fact.
I mean, dude, you can't speculate on that. Who knows?
Wait, what is even the story? He stopped saying it.
that
No.
they found skeletons of like, I think hundreds of dead
No, it was
bodies
like 20s or 30s
in
or
his
something.
basement.
Yeah. And they were doing like some testing on it. Thomas
Okay.
Edison.
But you can't even
No.
like begin to
Secrets
imagine.
of the Dead, Ben Franklin's bones. Skeletons of at least 10 people have turned up in the basement of Benjamin Franklin's
Oh, that's what it
British
is.
residence.
Ben
Okay.
Franklin.
Why is that even a story?
They said that he was experimenting.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who knows?
Analyzing the body for like purposes of just like understanding.
Dude, back
human.
then they used to bury people in their basements.
Right.
Dude.
Someone just like needed storage, and they give him like $100 a month.
Ben Franklin.
Yes.
Anyway, why is
Right.
Ben Franklin?
On the $100 bill.
No, well, yes, but why is he have personal bodies in his personal home?
Dude, who the fuck knows? How about aliens? You want to talk about that? I mean, that's a thing. That's
I'm going to
happening.
drop 3 bombs. Mermaids are real, giants were real, and aliens are real. That's all fact.
Yeah, we gotta stop scrolling.
Yeah, see it. TikTok fucked me up.
All right, so is that it?
Yep. That's all the
Okay.
questions we got.
I hope everybody had their Google out for the fact checking on today's
Oof,
episode.
we probably got some bad ones in there.
Oh yeah. So, all right, that was a Q&A today. We got a little off topic, but that's what we do.
Let's
So,
hope you don't get canceled for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So we'll wrap it up, and we'll see you next time.